Hi everybody, this is Agnes from Sediment, and today we are going to taste 5 Chardonnays blind to see which country or region offers the best value. I have made similar videos before, where I asked my cameraman to go shopping for me and buy wines within a specific price range for me to taste blind and see which region performs best at that price level. You are welcome to check them out. One was on Cabernet Sauvignon, one on Pinot Noir, and one for Syrah. This one, however, was inspired by one of my recent videos on Burgundy versus Bordeaux. Talking about these two brands cannot be complete without mentioning prices. The elephant in the room, which is the prices.
Yes, let's take this off.
How much was that one? Igars, was it sort of 700 euros, I think?
Yeah, it's a 700, 800 euro bottle, which is unbelievable.
And of course, that was one of the most commented topics for that video. Many of you took it personally that we discussed prices of these wines, and some felt that bringing it up takes away from the wines themselves. But the truth is, some of the greatest wines of Bordeaux and certainly of Burgundy are impossible to acquire for regular folks like us. And it is certainly very sad to acknowledge that even for me, as a wine professional, it is unrealistic to purchase, to taste, and thus learn about these wines. That said, some of you argued that there is still great value Burgundy to be found at €50 mark, you just have to know where to look. And I agree. Chablis and Macon come to my mind instantly. Yes, it requires more research. Understanding and knowledge can certainly help too. But for sure, you will not be able to find these gems without making a single mistake. And today I have once again asked my cameraman to do the shopping for me and locate 5 different Chardonnays, including one from Burgundy at the previously mentioned €50 price point. That way we can taste them blind and see which region or country offers the best value at that price point. Shall we? Alright, so this time all I know is that all of these 5 wines are Chardonnay, at least one of them is Burgundy, and the approximate price point for them is €50. So let's start with wine number 1. Okay, so the very first nose of this wine was quite citric, so really ripe lemon, lime, maybe dried lemon character. It is quite aromatic, so it seems that this wine has been made in this really reductive style, so there's that kind of nerviness to it. Maybe some white flowers, some white blossom. Let's taste that wine. So on the palate, this wine shows quite elevated acidity, but it is not there playing this game alone. You do have these ripe fruit flavors, you have some of that creaminess maybe from lees aging, but it is really that nervy, that expressive, energetic acidity that defines this wine on the palate. I like how this wine plays in the glass because you do have some of those maybe oak aging influences in it, like some toastiness and smoky element as well, but that freshness and that citric character is what shines the most. I will give this wine 92 points. Let's move to wine number 2. Okay. So wine number 2 on the nose is much calmer. It is not as nervy, not as energetic nose-wise on its aromas. And here we maybe have more these ripe white orchard fruits. We have apple, that white apple, that ripe, not acidic, not crunchy apple. We have pear. We maybe have some hints of melon. It overall seems calmer wine. Well, wine number 1 was kicking, then wine number 2 is thinking. And here as well, I maybe feel a little bit more of that leesy, that mellow character, you know, creme fraiche a bit here and there, you know, fresh yogurt, some like milky elements to it. but they are all beautifully mixed together with that orchard fruit character. Let's taste. All right, so wine number 2, medium-bodied on the palate. It has beautiful energy to it. All these orchard fruits are also shining. They're really fresh. And now the orchard fruit are crisper than we had or felt them on the nose. Quite long aftertaste, driven by these fresh white apples and pears. And what is interesting, I was not expecting the acidity to shine so bright on the tongue, because with the wine number 1 on the nose, it was also like a preview of what kind of palate you're going to have. And with wine number 2, it was maybe misleading you a little bit. I was expecting something bigger, you know, fuller bodied in its style, but the nervy, that really clean, that really pure type of character cut through that elevated acidity was quite beautiful. And I really like how long and persistent this wine is on the palate. And its mouthfeel really outshines what we feel on the nose, which is not always common. I will give this wine also 92 points. The reasoning for my points currently is that on the nose, I would give it a bit lower than for the wine number 1. But on the palate, I actually like the balance way better than for wine number 1. Wine number 1 just seems very youngish and very energetic, and it needs some time to calm down. And I think that is going to happen, and it's going to integrate more beautifully with some age. But at this really current stage, it is all over the place. While wine number 2 is really ready to deliver what it is promising. Let's move to wine number 3. All right, if any of you would want me to define an oak-aged Chardonnay on the nose, then wine number 3 is a perfect definition. You have these toasty elements in it. You have toasted nuts, maybe some freshly baked bread crust, you know, some of that caramelization, that browning element on the other side, outer side. But we also do have ripeness of the fruit. We have those melons and maybe fresh mango as well. Pear, yellow plums. So I recently read an article where I really enjoyed how it was written about Chardonnay losing its weight lately, because there was a time when we had these really big and opulent and round Chardonnay styles. And now a little bit more, we have these slimmer, finer, more acidity-driven, less oak-marked Chardonnays in the market. And for those people who enjoy that rounder, bigger, opulent style, it is not necessarily the best direction we're taking. This wine number 3 is a bit bigger, rounder, opulent style. It could be vintage talking, of course. You know, especially if we are in Europe, the vintage really can put its mark on the wine. So maybe this wine has seen more sunshine and higher temperatures as well. But overall, for those of you who enjoy, you know, bigger bones, this is it. It still offers a lot of freshness, but the edges of the acidity are rounded, and you definitely feel that mid-palate a bit richer and oilier in character. You know, maybe oilier is not the right description, but definitely creamier in style. You do feel that oak mark as well. It is not overpowering the fruit still shines through, and I think it is a beautiful example of this style. Very balanced, definitely not as rich and sweet as maybe 10 years ago we enjoyed some Chardonnays, but I will give this wine 93 points. I think it offers this really beautiful, richer style without losing balance, without losing freshness, and I would be happy to enjoy a glass or two. So let's move to wine number 4. All right, this wine is shy on the nose. It is not as expressive as any of the first three wines, but you do feel some of that floral element, you know, maybe some orange blossom. It is really flowery, actually. And somewhere in the background, I start to feel some white or yellow apples and pears as well. Some ripe yellow plums. What a beautiful defining acidity for this wine. It is elevated, it is slightly mouth-watering and kind of adding this freshness on the palate, but it is fruit that wraps it all around. We similarly, as in wine number one, feel all these citric notes on the palate. We feel really ripe lemon and lime and slightly bit of that mango peel as well, which is so interesting because for me, mango peel sometimes tastes and smells of pine needle, but with this intense tropical element to it. So at the same time, there is something tropical and something green, but there is just this perfect balance between them. And I think this wine shows it. It is young and nervy wine for sure, but I think it also offers, you know, some aging potential here. It is so interesting. It also has some notes of reduction, like gunflinty character, you know, but I think it just adds a bit of complexity to the wine. Yeah, a bit of smokiness. But that crystalline-like fruit character, that purity of fruits in wine 4 is beautiful. I like this wine quite a lot, despite it being the shyest on the nose, and I will give this wine 94 points. Let's move to wine number 5. Aren't you? Wow, like, You feel that this wine is fresh and youngish, but you also feel some complexity already developing on the nose. Like there is some of that lime peel in it, but there's also fresh, really crunchy type of apple. There is some laziness, some crème fraîche to it. Some delicate hints of smokiness and toasted, I don't know, buttery notes. It is just so complex and offering so many elements at the same time on the nose. But it is not losing its youthfulness. You know, sometimes when we talk about really complex wines on the nose, they have seen some age. I don't think this wine is really that old. You know, maybe like 3-4 years. It's just my guess, but it is already quite complex on the nose. Once again, we can pinpoint that acidity on the palate, which is absolutely beautiful, but there is no shortage of a body in this wine. You know, there's no shortage of a muscle in this wine, but this wine does not seem rich or, you know, opulent or creamy as with wine number 3. It just feels packed. It just feels, you know, packed with all those flavors, all those orchard fruits and yellow plums and all those flowery and white blossom characters. It is a magnificent wine. I think this wine really stays out. I think this wine really stands out within this crowd. I think it is beautiful. I will give this wine 95.5 points. I really enjoy it. I think there is depth to it, there's complexity to it, and for sure it can age for another 10 years. All right, we have come to the moment when we have to reveal the wines. I have seen some of the comments appearing in my YouTube channel saying that you did not guess the wine's origins. Yes, I try not to guess the wine's origins if that is not the game, because I do believe that it is more of a game. It is so difficult to actually identify wine's origins. Maybe less so with grape varieties, but yes, because, you know, there are winemakers in Australia trying to replicate wine styles in Burgundy, and there are Burgundy winemakers who are trying to make wine styles similar to that in California. So it is really difficult, and we can shape the wine styles significantly through winemaking process. That's one thing. But if I would have to say something, then there were two wines that really spoke with me, and I felt like I know them maybe better or understand them better, and that was wine number 1 and wine number 4. So for me, wine number 1 had that European soul because of that acidity, because of that citric, that element, you know, it really did shine through. And wine number 4, I have one wine producer that I feel I'm very comfortable identifying in the blind tasting always. I don't think I remember many times I've been wrong with this specific producer. So I will not mention it right now in case I am wrong, but you know, it makes sense for it to be in this list. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, anyway, let's reveal wine number 1. Okay, so we have actually visited this estate together. So it's Benedicte, Stephane, Tissot. We are in Jura, so definitely a European soul. I don't think there are many winemaking regions that have such a, you know, huge heritage, such a impressive history. Les Graviers, so this is 2022 vintage. Tissot is one of those rare producers who do make single vineyard wines in Jura. It is also one of the top producers in Jura. And who would have thought? I would never have guessed to think of Jura in this selection in the Chardonnays at €50 price point. But it makes sense because Chardonnay is one of the top grape varieties amongst Sauvignon that is widely planted there. And I gave this wine 92 points. All right, so let's move to wine number 2. Okay, so we are in South Africa with this wine. This is Hamilton-Russell Vineyards in Hemel-en-Aarde. Anyhow, they are the pioneers in this area. And I think we have tasted some of their wines as well. If I am not mistaken, it might be a bit cheaper than Tissot, but I'm not sure. Anyhow, 92 points as well. Really beautiful, as I remember on the palate. I really enjoyed this wine on the palate. It was nicely done. Okay, so let's move to wine number 3, which I gave 93 points. Okay. Wow. So we are in Burgundy, but we are not in Côte d'Or. I doubt that it would be really possible to find Premier Cru in Côte d'Or at €50 price point. This one is Pouilly-Fuisse, and it is Quarts Premier Cru. This is actually a monopoly. And this is so beautiful. If I can show this, this here. So we have Dominique Lafon and Olivier Merlin, who is often called a wizard of Chardonnay. So two really top quality winemakers coming together and making this wine. And I remember I described this wine having this bigger, more opulent soul. And you know, this is why we used to go towards Pouilly-Fuisse when we were looking for wines a bit bigger, bolder, richer. Okay, beautiful. Let's move to wine number 4. I gave this wine 94 points. I knew this was Kumeu River. Anyone who tells me that they make Burgundy style wines, I disagree. I respectfully disagree. It's not true. Kumeu River makes their own style Chardonnay. It is so unique. It is so unique that in the glass you just feel it. And you know, when I smelled it, it was just, I was like, this smells really of the style that Kumeu makes. It is so unique. You cannot mix it with anything else. I love their style. There's not a day when I would be offered a glass of Kumeu River and I would say no. I really think that New Zealand altogether as a winemaking country and Kumeu with their Chardonnays just make exceptional high quality wines. All right, so let's move to wine number 5, which I scored the highest. I gave it 95.5 points. And it is Lingua Franca Estate Chardonnay from Willamette Valley, Eola-Amity Hills. Did I pronounce it right? Was it correctly? So Lingua Franca. So we are in United States with whopping 50, no. Oh, okay. With 13% alcohol. I thought it was 15. I thought, no way. But no, it's 13% alcohol. This one, how impressive. In my mind, I was not in United States for sure with this wine, but I guess we are in somewhat cooler climate, and that really did show. It had that really beautiful acidity, but it was also wrapped with all these beautiful flavors, you know, and fruits. It was quite floral. Who would have thought? I would have never guessed. I usually look at United States offering not the best value, but I guess when you are in a Chardonnay world, it speaks with you differently. So we do have 2 wines from France. We have South Africa, New Zealand, of course, and United States, of course. I think we maybe miss Australia, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I ordered, but due to snowstorm, it didn't arrive in time.
Okay. That's true. We do have crazy snowstorm. Well, for us in Latvia, that's normal. Maybe it was more normal 10 or 15 years ago, but we do have snow and okay. Right. Okay, so this is interesting. 2 wines that I'm really positively surprised by is the Lingua Franca from Oregon and the Pouilly-Fuisse. These wines really spoke beautifully with me, and what a great value actually with Jura. Because with Jura, we are actually in, like single vineyard quality. And can we do that in Côte d'Or? I'm not sure. For 50 euros, yeah, probably not. So even though I do think that Jura is quite an expensive winemaking region, when you want to buy wine, it still can offer better value when it comes to, classic type of Chardonnay, classic style Chardonnay wines. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section below, where do you find the best value Chardonnays yourself, if you like the grape variety, of course. And also let me know which wine style, grape variety, or price category I should taste and explore this way next. And please make sure to watch this video next.